Aight, aight. What's really going on? Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, going to be taking a look at XLM, Stellar Lumen, against US dollar tether on the Binance chart. We're going to be taking a look at some of the technical aspects of price action moving forward. Some key levels I believe we're going to be interacting with in the kind of near future here. We're going to be assessing kind of what's happening at some what appears to be exhaustion at this uptrend. At this breakout here, we've kind of pulled back and we're retesting some kind of prior levels we were just trading in after creating a higher high. We can kind of see what we're going to see if we can kind of continue the uptrend or if we will see some prolonged sideways or continued pullback. Now, jumping right into it. To quickly recap this kind of price action here leading up to this kind of recent consolidation before this most recent breakout. We've had these, extended periods of sideways for these kind of, very significant volatile kind of breakouts. We had 177% in kind of like a week after trading sideways for like kind of several weeks. We had then after kind of like the kind of couple weeks there to a month there of sideways, we had the kind of 200%, 200% in 3 days, 4 days, which insane, very quick amount of time. Then we had this aggressive pull off, sell off for like over a month kind of thing, or just about a month roughly. But the breakout from that was a bit more kind of gradual and lasted a little over 2 weeks and was another 151%. We are now coming out of this most recent consolidation we've been trapped in for, let's say a good 40 days before we kind of broke upwards. So we're like over a month of kind of sideways and bearish reaccumulation before breaking kind of upward. And we've now rallied since this breakout over the past kind of sort of like 20 days there, almost a month. We've rallied only 86%. So these pumps do seem to be sort of losing momentum, and there do seem to be more kind of pullbacks now, and there seem to be kind of more sideways as these kind of higher highs get created. We're no longer trading at these kind of, I guess, lower price ranges. The closer we get to, I guess, the dollar, the kind of more resistance we kind of will interact with. And so we appear to be looking to find support along another key range that I identified kind of prior to kind of all this price action back when we were trading around like 38 cents. I believe this would be kind of resistance as we broke through it. We came back, supported it, kind of found support along the kind of bottom of this zone here along 48 cents, which gave us support to pump, break a higher high, and reach kind of swing high to 68 cents there. But we now seem to be kind of falling back down. We fell through that kind of initial kind of short-term support identified in a prior analysis. We kind of fell right through that, and we're now retesting what was previous kind of support just relative to that kind of pump. But we did get a strong rejection off of that kind of 67-cent level. But this kind of zone we're in now does have some price action kind of relevant to it back in be kind of middle to end of February there. We had, kind of like over a week of price action within this zone. And so now we're re-interacting kind of with it again. We appear to be printing a higher low relative to the kind of dip kind of a couple days ago. Things are still sort of recovering from when Bitcoin kind of sneezed and, started to dump on everybody. We now appear to be finding support kind of in this kind of key zone. And so I believe long term we can still be bullish if we can kind of find support here. In the kind of short term, that would be kind of like, a way more bullish sign short term if we were to find support here and start closing above the kind of prior support, prior resistance kind of there above kind of 62 cents. If we get back up to this level very quickly, then we can be very more short-term bullish, and it could be very explosive moving forward. But I do suspect perhaps some gradual kind of more reaccumulation before we can kind of take off again and before we can kind of continue, because XLM is liking to kind of stay sideways after kind of breaking these sort of like higher highs. So I don't suspect perhaps a month of sideways, but I do suspect perhaps there could be perhaps a couple weeks of sideways before we kind of continue the uptrend. When we turn on EngineeringRobo, we see a new perspective come into play. If I zoom out to allow these fettuccine lines to draw, we can see some key levels that I believe we can kind of have some interaction with. We have the buy 2 coming before the breakout, buy 4 moon to support the breakout. We have the buy 4 and moon still present, still open, but we have this sell 2 closing. And so that suggests perhaps some short-term kind of bearish pressure, some short-term sideways. This is a big pump. Traders are taking profit. There's plenty of XLM traders that are, looking to take profit at their key levels kind of as soon as they get there. And so plenty of the traders that were holding and accumulating through this level, I believe, are taking profit at this kind of new swing high during this pullback. But this dip was bought up very aggressively. So we could definitely see some extended buy pressure kind of along this kind of range here. If we start to close, I believe, like below this, I guess this 0.618 kind of level around 43 cents, then we can see some more perhaps kind of midterm bearish consolidation, and we can kind of come back to what was key support around 38 cents and just below kind of 43 cents there. If we do start to come back with that range, I believe that could be a range we get stuck in for a period of time if we were to consolidate in such a bearish manner that we come back down to there. But in my opinion, I do believe that this dip was bought up quite aggressively, and that bounce was quite nice. And these are some nice higher lows at the moment. So I do believe support can be found in this range before kind of furthering the uptrend and making some more higher highs. Now, when we consider the price of XLM against the relative price of Bitcoin, we see a kind of a new perspective here. We see some new range that we've kind of been trapped in against the price of Bitcoin. As you know, Bitcoin likes to figure itself out at its own time kind of thing, and so every other cryptocurrency has to kind of go with the flow of it. And so as Bitcoin has been figuring itself out, XLM has been doing quite a good job of staying kind of relevant and staying bullish, and still maintaining the ability to gain against Bitcoin, and to stay relevant as Bitcoin dumps or pumps. We now seem to be finding support at another key level after this kind of same rejection along this range. The major resistance identified was kind of up at this kind of 1289 Satoshi to kind of 1205 Satoshi was a significant resistance I believe we're going to be interacting with next. But pullbacks are to be expected in these kind of uptrends. We could very well see kind of like sideways for a little bit before another kind of volatile spike interaction with this range. But I do believe once we start closing above it, then we can see some more longer term gains. Once kind of Bitcoin figures itself out, if Bitcoin continues to dump, then we could very well see some more bearish kind of accumulation here. Then we can start coming down to these sort of lower levels. When we turn on EngineeringRobo, along with the sacred lines of Fettuccine, Fibonacci, Illuminati, Versace, we can see kind of some key ranges that we can kind of be interacting with in the short term. So we have fallen through this 0.382 level, and we now seem to be kind of looking to find support on the kind of 0.5 level there around 824 Satoshi. And so that, I guess, seems to be the kind of next sort of key level that we can kind of find support at, or we can expect to kind of see some prices interact with. And we can, also expect to find support there, I believe, in the short term, so we can kind of maintain the uptrend long term, because I believe XLM is still bullish, and we could definitely see the multi-dollar XLM in its kind of lifetime in the near future here, along with the kind of buy volume present, the buy for and moon still supporting it. We do not have a sell to present on the XLM Bitcoin chart, and we are closing above this 200 moving average, which is long-term bullish for the price of Stellar against Bitcoin. And so this does suggest that we will be able to kind of get recover from this like rejection here and this dip here, and we can kind of find support along these kind of upper levels. We do seem to have EngineeringRobo's resistance correlating nicely with another Fibonacci level, so this could be some could be some significant resistance that we kind of come up to, and we could very well have another rejection off of, and we try to trade sideways under or just above before kind of taking off. That does seem to be like the significant level, as these two lines correlate with each other quite nicely. Along with support found near my kind of zone there, and EngineeringRobo's kind of support line. And so there's lots going on in the crypto space here. We can still kind of be bullish on XLM in the long term, I believe, with the volume present and the minimal sell volume. This just seemed to be a aggressive pump, and as Bitcoin dumped, we experienced a sell-off across the entire market, and so everything's affected by the price of Bitcoin. If we consider the price of Bitcoin against US dollar tether, we have a new perspective come into play here. We have insane sell signals present. That was obviously a very ridiculous day. This was a pretty crazy 15% dump in kind of the day from the candle open kind of thing. We rallied, recovered, a good, like we were only 6%. We closed only 6% below the previous open, which is a good 10%, I guess, recovery from the kind of dip there, swing low. We look to find support along the kind of 51K level there. We dipped all the way down to 51K, printed that very technical higher low above the kind of 25th of March dip there. But with all these sell signals present, this does seem to suggest some sort of short-term sideways. But the overall bullishness of Bitcoin is just ever too abundant, and so you can see these wicks, these dips are not lasting long, and prices do seem to be like kind of rounding off here. We could very much have another rejection off of the kind of 57K level, and we could come kind of back down to some further levels that we traded in. That is not impossible kind of thing, right? Bitcoin has been so bullish realistically in the kind of short term and the kind of past few months here, the past year here, that we could very well see some more bearish kind of accumulation at these kind of low 50K levels even. You know, it'd be interesting to see the 40Ks again, but I do suspect that we will kind of hold 50K in the short term before taking off and creating some more higher highs and whatnot in the long term. When we consider the fear and FOMO zone for Bitcoin here, FOMO zone all the way up at 81K, still almost 82K there. So that's when the FOMO will really kick in. If we can recover out of this, out of pullbacks like this, then people will definitely be still bullish at these levels up here, and there will be far different price action. And once we break this really significant 60K resistance, I believe that we'll have like the multi $10,000 moves upward again. We can even see this candle fighting to close bullish, and so like there's tons of buy pressure still, and there is support around 54K kind of thing. 55K seems to be right now. So there's definitely a lot of indecision in the market, while there is tons of sellers and tons of new traders, new investors getting into Bitcoin that are selling because they're worried about it coming back down as fast as it just came up for them. There's plenty of smart money investing at all times and buying these dips, buying when it's low, buying when it's coming down like it's nothing. And so sometimes you got to follow what smart money is doing. We consider XLM against the price of US dollar tether, and it'll give us a new perspective of kind of this rejection here and what has happened. We do see this interaction with the FOMO zone. As we see, we touched into this FOMO zone very briefly at the peak of that kind of swing high there, the news kind of swing high, higher high. But we got a very hard rejection, which is kind of one of the two options that occur when interacting with the FOMO zone. You either start closing up in it and you FOMO and you start creating higher highs, tops are bought, and you skyrocket to ridiculous kind of price levels, or you have a strong rejection and there's sell pressure and plenty of traders take profit and there's tons of big rejection kind of thing. And so the last time we had that rejection, we came all the way down and traded sideways. So I mean, if we compare this price action to this kind of price action here, that we had this rejection, traded sideways in like a bearish manner before coming up again. If we were to consider it to this price action, came rejected off of the FOMO zone there. Perhaps we trade sideways for a bit. Perhaps we trade sideways in a more bearish manner for a bit before skyrocketing again. I mean, from a technical perspective, because it did it once, it's going to do it again, can only get you so far. So you're going to have to assess the fundamentals. But that is definitely a possibility, in my opinion. We do have some new sell signals present there as I turned on kind of more indicators. We have the super sell, sell 2, sell 3, tons of sell signals present at the candle kind of yesterday. And so, I mean, that does give it a kind of new perspective here. And so that is quite a lot of sell pressure that could very much push us into a more kind of bearish consolidation in the kind of short term. But in the long term, I do believe we can still be bullish. Although, like I said, there's tons of indecision in the market. There's tons going on in the crypto sphere. There's plenty of buy signals and sell signals present, which will cause sideways. But I do believe we can suspect an upward breakout, and we can most likely find support at some higher lows kind of thing, and some kind of higher levels. I don't believe we'll be interacting with the kind of sub 43 cent, above 38 cent kind of level again. But that is not impossible. Thank you for tuning in. Check out all those social media down below. Try EngineeringRobo free. Link in the description. Subscribe here on YouTube and tune in for the next one.